I've never been great with social cues. Not in a tragic way, just enough to make things occasionally awkward. I'm the kind of person who laughs half a second too late, brings a bottle of wine to game night when nobody's drinking, or, apparently, shows up in full cosplay to a party that isn't one. Let me explain. My coworker Jess invited me to her friend Amanda's party. I don't know Amanda well, we met maybe twice in passing, but Jess said she was cool, and that it was kind of a costume thing. I double-checked. Like, actual costumes? Or just funny hats? I asked. She responded, go big. It's post-Halloween chaos. Everyone's dressing up. I said, you're sure? She laughed. Trust me. No one's going normal. So I didn't go normal. I went Geralt of Rivia, full build. Now when I say full cosplay, I mean leather straps, steel plus silver sword props, a wig I dead-angled for hours, weathered armor I made myself, makeup scars, and custom boots that click with every step. I even dusted some ash-colored powder into the wig to make it more accurate. I was committed. I took the train in full gear because I didn't want to risk changing at the venue. Heads turned. People asked for selfies. I felt invincible. Until I got to the house. It was quiet. A nice neighborhood. Fairy lights on the porch. No spooky decorations, no fake blood, no Monster Mash playing from a Bluetooth speaker. Still, I figured maybe it was all inside. I knocked. Someone opened the door, an older woman, probably Amanda's mom, and she just froze. Like, jaw slightly open kind of freeze. I smiled, a bit confused. Hey, I'm here for the party? She blinked. Come in. I stepped into a carpeted hallway lit with warm ambient lights. The kind you'd expect at a dinner party or a baby shower. Inside, around 20 people. No costumes. Just nice shoes. Button-downs. Blazers. Dresses. Not a horn. Not a face-painted cheek. Not a single novelty wig. I stood there, looking like a medieval mutant hunter, surrounded by people who looked like they'd come from a wine tasting. A man near the dining table actually dropped his glass. That's when Jess appeared, face pale. Her expression was the perfect blend of panic and guilt. Oh my God, I didn't text you, she whispered. I blinked. Text me what? She grimaced. It turned into a formal thing. Amanda's parents wanted to meet her fiancé's family, so they changed the theme. I meant to tell you. I thought I did. I just stood there, swords on my back, sweat forming under my chest plate. Amanda spotted us. Her face went tight. She walked over, expression unreadable. Hi, she said, slowly. Nice costume. Someone chuckled uncomfortably. Someone else muttered, is this a joke? Jess tried to smooth things over. This is Evan, my friend from work. He thought it was still the costume theme. Amanda nodded stiffly. Right. I don't remember what I said after that. Something like I can head out or totally my bad. I wanted the floor to open up and swallow me, or at least give me a potion for invisibility. But no. I was fully visible. And very, very out of place. There's a particular kind of silence that happens when a room full of people doesn't know what to do with you. It's not anger. It's not laughter. It's just this thick, heavy pause, like everyone's trying to make eye contact not with you, but with each other, to figure out who's going to address the situation first. That's what I walked into. Or more accurately, cosplayed into. I stood in Amanda's foyer, a literal sword across my back, silver wig slightly tilted, trying to shrink myself. But that's the thing about cosplay, it's not subtle. It's designed to stand out. There's no quiet exit when you look like you belong in a fantasy war. Jess looked mortified. Amanda looked like she was hosting a diplomatic summit and I just showed up dressed for a Dungeons and Dragons raid. I tried to keep it together. Smiled. Nodded. Said something like, totally my fault, I can duck out. But Amanda didn't really respond. She just gave me a tight-lipped smile and turned to greet someone else. Jess awkwardly touched my arm. You don't have to leave, she whispered. Just, maybe take off the swords? So there I was, peeling fake leather off my back and trying not to knock over someone's wineglass while slipping out of my custom rig. I stacked my gear neatly near the umbrella stand, which felt like a war crime. Once unarmed, I hovered near the snack table. Not that I had much appetite. I picked at some olives and tried to fade into the wallpaper. Unfortunately, the wallpaper was beige. And I was still wearing armor boots, gloves, and enough black eyeliner to get side-eyed by someone's aunt. A man in his 60s approached. Gray suit, polite smile. Interesting outfit, he said. I chuckled weakly. Bit of a misunderstanding. Thought it was a costume party. He sipped his drink. Well, at least you're committed. He didn't sound mean. Just confused. Which somehow made it worse. Yeah. Total mix-up. He nodded and wandered off. That was the rhythm for the next half hour, people approaching, making small comments, then drifting away. It felt like being on display. Not mocked exactly, but observed. At one point, someone whispered, "Is that her ex?" which, to this day, I pray was about someone else. Jess eventually brought me a drink, soda water with lime, probably out of mercy. I'm so sorry, she said for the 10th time. It's okay, I said, because what else was I going to say? I'll just hang here for a bit and then bail. She looked at me like she wanted to crawl into a hole. I swear I meant to tell you. Everything changed last minute. I was stressed and forgot. I believed her. Mostly. But it didn't change how exposed I felt. How stupid. I thought about just leaving. Quietly slipping out, armor in hand, vanishing into the night like a shamed vigilante. But something stopped me. Maybe pride. Maybe spite. Maybe just the knowledge that no matter what, the story would stick, so I might as well own it. So I stayed. An hour in, Amanda's fiancé gave a toast. He thanked everyone for coming, made jokes about wedding planning, and talked about the importance of making space for people we love, even the ones who surprise us. I'm 90% sure that was a dig. People laughed. I smiled. Drank my soda. Counted the minutes until I could leave without looking dramatic. After the toast, Amanda approached me again. Hey, she said, tone cooler now. Thanks for, adjusting. I know it was probably awkward. I nodded. Bit of a misfire on my part. Hope I didn't throw off the vibe. She shrugged. You were committed. That's admirable? It was almost a compliment. I took it. Eventually, people loosened up. A couple guys asked about the costume, turns out one of them played the same game. We joked about how uncomfortable wigs are. One woman even asked for a selfie to send to her kid. I leaned into it. Made some dry jokes. Became the guy who wore a costume to the wrong party. A meme in real time. Still, I couldn't shake the lingering sting. The quiet humiliation of realizing you were entirely out of sync with a room. The kind of social whiplash that leaves you second-guessing every choice. I left around 10. Jess gave me a long hug and apologized again. I waved it off, armor slung over one shoulder like a defeated knight. In the car, I sat with the silence. Not angry. Just deflated. It was supposed to be fun. It wasn't. The next morning, I woke up to the familiar hum of regret buzzing in my chest. Not panic. Not shame. Just that dull ache of having been the punchline in a room full of people who weren't laughing with you. I tried to shrug it off. Told myself I'd survive. That in a few days, it'd be funny. Something to bring up when someone says, "Tell me the most awkward thing that's ever happened to you." But my phone had other plans. Because apparently, someone had taken a video. I don't know who filmed it, maybe someone by the piano, or that couple near the fireplace, but it was a full 40-second clip of me walking into the party, pausing, realizing something was off, then awkwardly adjusting my swords while people looked on. It wasn't malicious. There was no mocking caption. Just, when you go full cosplay and it's not that kind of party. Hashtag oops. The video had been posted to someone's story. Then shared. Then screenshotted. By noon, it had been reposted on TikTok. By people I didn't know. Jess messaged me first. I'm so sorry. I didn't know someone filmed. Want me to ask them to take it down? I didn't respond right away. I was scrolling through the comments. Most were harmless. Dude actually nailed the costume though, skull, this would be my villain origin story. The way he still walks in like a king. Some were less kind. Social awareness, 0, why is this giving secondhand pain? Bet he talks like that at Starbucks too. I shut my phone off. It wasn't just the embarrassment. It was the exposure. I didn't ask to be a meme. I wasn't trying to make a statement. I just misunderstood the assignment. And now people who weren't even at the party had opinions about my boots, my wig, and my social intelligence. That afternoon, I went to a local cafe to clear my head. No armor. Just jeans and a hoodie. The barista blinked at me a little too long, then said, "Wait, were you at that party last night?" I froze. "Yeah." He chuckled. "Dude. You looked awesome. My friends sent me that video. You crushed it." I nodded, unsure if it was a compliment or a polite dodge. When I got home, Jess had left a voicemail. She sounded small. Embarrassed. Said she'd asked the original poster to take it down, but the clip had already spread. Said she felt awful. Said she owed me big time. I didn't blame her, not really. The mistake was genuine. But I couldn't help feeling exposed. Not just for the outfit, but for how it pulled back the curtain on a very real truth. I had no idea where I fit in. I wasn't part of Amanda's world. Never was. Jess had invited me as a gesture, a tag-along, maybe a sympathy plus one. And now I was the main character in a story I didn't want to star in. The week dragged. Work was weird. Jess and I avoided each other for the first few days. Not in a hostile way, just like people who'd shared something cringeworthy and didn't know how to unpack it. Then Friday rolled around. I got a message from someone I hadn't spoken to in years. "Hey, saw the video. Wild. Also, your Gerald cosplay was insane. Are you still building gear? We're doing a Witcher panel next month, and we'd love to have you." I stared at the message. Then again at the video, which now had 50,000 views. Somehow, in all the awkwardness, someone had seen me, not just the mistake. I replied, "Yeah. I'm still building." And for the first time all week, I smiled. But just as I was beginning to breathe again, a new storm was brewing. Because Amanda had finally seen the video. And she was not amused. The message came on Saturday morning. I was halfway through toasting a bagel when my phone buzzed. A new DM on Instagram. The profile pic was Amanda, the party host, smiling in some golden hour photo that now felt worlds away from the version of her I'd seen at the event. Hey. So I saw the video. That was it. No punctuation, no emoji. Just that line, floating in my inbox like a warning shot. I stared at it. My stomach sank. A few seconds later, another message popped up. "This has kind of gotten out of hand. Can we talk?" Suddenly, my appetite was gone. I replied cautiously. "Hey, sure. Didn't mean to cause anything. Was totally a mix-up." Her response was quick. "Can you meet for coffee? Today? Just you." Now, context, Amanda and I had never hung out one-on-one. We barely knew each other. Her asking to meet felt serious, too serious. But I agreed. Because honestly, the guilt had started to creep in. Yes, I'd just followed instructions. Yes, Jess had forgotten to warn me. But still, I had become the story of her carefully planned party. People were laughing, duetting, remixing it with sound effects. I put on a normal shirt. Tried to look as neutral and non-cosplayer as possible. Then walked to the cafe. Amanda was already there when I arrived, sitting outside with a black coffee and her phone in hand. She didn't smile when she saw me. Just gestured to the seat across from her. I sat. Quietly. She sighed. "I'm not mad at you," she said. I exhaled. "Okay. That's good. But," she added, "this whole thing blew up in a way I didn't expect. And now I'm getting messages." "What kind of messages?" She turned her screen to show me. DMs. Some were jokes. Some were people asking, who was the guy in costume? Others were worse. "Your party looked boring tbh. Why so stiff? Cosplay guy had more personality than the rest of the guests combined. Imagine being so uptight you can't handle a wig." She lowered the phone. "People are making me the villain," she said. "Like I kicked you out. Like I humiliated you." "I never said that," I replied quickly. "I never blamed you. I didn't even post the video." "I know. But perception doesn't care about that." We sat in silence for a moment. She began, picking at the edge of her sleeve. "That night was supposed to be a formal thing. For my fiancé's parents. It mattered. And when you showed up, even if it was innocent, it shifted the focus. Everyone was talking about you." I nodded. "Believe me, I know. And now it's viral. And I look like I can't take a joke. Or like I set you up." "I can make a statement," I offered. "I can post something. Explain what happened. Take the attention off you." She looked surprised. "You'd do that?" "Yeah. It wasn't fair to you either. None of us meant for it to go this far." That night, I wrote a post. It was honest. Calm. No drama. I said it was a misunderstanding. That the host was gracious. That she didn't kick me out. That no one mocked me. That the video was funny but the reality was way more human. I ended it with, "Nobody's the bad guy here. Just people navigating awkward moments the best they can. Let's not turn a party mishap into a pile-on." I posted it on Instagram and TikTok. It didn't go viral, but it reached enough people. A few follow-up videos popped up saying, "Respect to the costume guy." Amanda messaged me the next day. "Thank you. Really? I didn't expect that." I replied, "It's the least I could do. Sorry again for the chaos." She added a heart emoji. First sign of warmth since the party. But just when things were settling down, someone from work sent me a screenshot. A private Slack thread. My coworkers were talking about it. And not all of them were kind. I didn't expect it to follow me to work. I mean, sure, a few coworkers follow me on social media, and Jess obviously knew what happened. She was the reason I showed up to the party in the first place. But I figured that outside of a few jokes or an awkward hallway moment, the whole thing would fade into the background. Like most viral things do. Here today, algorithmically buried tomorrow. But then I got the screenshot. Sent anonymously, no name, no message, just an image of our internal Slack thread titled #watercooler. It was where people shared memes, dog photos, hot takes on reality shows. Except now, I was the meme. One of my coworkers had posted the video with the caption, "Wait, is this Evan from accounting?" Face with tears of joy. Someone else replied, "LMAO it is. The walk-in is elite." Another, "Bro thought he was at Comic-Con Skull." And then the kicker. No wonder he's always so quiet. Guy lives in a fantasy world. My stomach sank. I don't know what hurt more, being talked about like I wasn't real, or realizing how fast people would turn a moment of vulnerability into a punchline. I didn't say anything at first. Closed the image. Sat at my desk pretending to review spreadsheets. But my mind kept drifting. Jess pinged me in a private chat an hour later. "Hey, just saw the thread. You okay?" I replied. "Honestly? Not sure." She asked if I wanted her to say something. Flagged the post. I told her to leave it. The comments weren't cruel exactly, just careless. The kind that people make when they forget there's a real person behind the joke. Still, it gnawed at me. That afternoon, I bumped into Mark from HR in the break room. He's always been chill, mid-40s, dad jokes, owns too many mugs. He poured coffee, glanced at me, then smiled. "So? You're famous now." I gave a weak laugh. "That's one way to put it." He sipped his drink. "Just so you know, I archived the Slack post. It was getting a little too chatty." I nodded. "Thanks." He paused. People forget how fast things move online. One day you're the main character, next day it's someone else's turn. I appreciated that. But it didn't fix the lingering tension in the office, the subtle glances, the way conversations hushed when I walked by, the forced friendliness from people who had definitely laughed at me behind a screen. The weirdest part? The sudden wave of support from strangers. While coworkers side-eyed me, my inbox filled with DMs from people I'd never met. "You inspired me to wear my cosplay to a party next week, no shame." This made me feel seen as someone who's always felt too much or too weird. "You handled it with so much grace." Mad respect. It was surreal. Like I'd become a weird kind of symbol, not just the guy in the wrong costume, but the guy who stayed. Who owned it? And maybe I was. But that didn't mean it didn't hurt. On Thursday, we had our monthly team meeting. Nothing major, just updates, goals, the usual slides. But as we sat in the conference room, Jess leaned over and whispered, "Just so you know, Tom wants to say something." Tom was our team lead. Nice guy. Bit performative. Loved team culture. Sure enough, halfway through the meeting, he paused and said, "Before we wrap, I just want to shout out Evan." I froze. Dude walked into a party dressed like a fantasy legend and became an internet hero. That's commitment. Honestly, we could all use a little more boldness like that. A few people chuckled. Some clapped. Someone muttered, "Gerald of HR." I forced a smile. But inside, I was burning. Because now, the moment wasn't just a joke. It was branding. A team lead turning my humiliation into a motivational soundbite. After the meeting, I walked straight to the stairwell and just sat. Not to cry. Not even to hide. Just to breathe. This was supposed to be over. A joke, a story. But it had become something else. A performance I never signed up for. A narrative I couldn't control. I opened my notes app and wrote a single line. Being seen isn't the same as being understood. I stared at it for a long time. Then I put my phone away. And went back to my desk. I don't know when the line between funny and painful blurred, but by the end of that week, I stopped laughing. The moment had stopped being a moment. Now it was a reference. A label. A low-key branding exercise for me. Costume guy. Geralt. Knight of Finance. Coworkers used it as a nickname. Clients made passing jokes on calls when they recognized my name from LinkedIn. I went out for drinks with some friends from college, and even they had seen the clip. "You should make shirts," one said, grinning. "Lean into it." I smiled. But it didn't reach my eyes. I was tired. Not physically, just worn. Like I'd been turned into a character in someone else's story. And that story didn't ask how I felt about it. The next Monday, I skipped work. I told HR I needed a mental health day. No one pushed back. I guess viral burnout was a thing now. Or maybe they just didn't want to deal with a liability. I spent the day walking around the city. No destination. Just headphones in, hoodie up, letting the movement drown out the overthinking. Eventually, I sat in a park near the river, watched the ducks drift, and scrolled through my messages. One caught my eye. From someone named Theo. Hey. Random, but I was at that party. I was one of the people who didn't say anything. Just stared. I wanted to say I'm sorry for that. I was weirdly impressed, but too scared to admit it. Just thought you should know. I reread it 3 times. And suddenly, I felt something shift. That night, I texted Jess. Do you think I messed up showing up like that? Really? She responded fast. No. I messed up. I should have warned you. You just showed up with trust. And I let that turn into embarrassment. I stared at her words for a long time. Then she added. You didn't mess up. You just committed. And that scared people. Tuesday, I came back to the office. Same cubicle. Same awkward energy. But something in me had clicked. After lunch, I printed out a sheet of paper and pinned it to the small corkboard by my desk. It said. Yes, that was me. Yes, I meant to wear it. Yes, I'll probably do it again. No sarcasm. No apology. Just truth. People laughed when they saw it. But softer this time. Like maybe they were laughing with me or realizing I wasn't the joke they thought. Jess passed by later and gave me a thumbs up. Mark from HR raised an eyebrow but said nothing. And me? I felt the air loosen. That weekend, I dug my costume out of the storage bin I'd crammed it into. Brushed the wig. Refastened the straps. Sat with it. And realized I still loved it. That it wasn't about approval or views or irony. It was about craft. Character. That strange, beautiful space where you become something outside yourself, not to escape, but to express. I took a photo. Not for anyone else. Just for me. Then I posted it. Still here. Still me. No hashtags. No captions. Just that. That night, I got a message from Amanda. Saw your post. Glad you're doing okay. I replied. Took a while. But yeah. She added. My fiancé actually thought it was cool. He never said it then. But he told me later. I smiled. Some stories end without a twist. But sometimes, the twist is that people didn't hate you, they just didn't know how to say they didn't. There's this quote I read once. The worst part of being different is thinking you have to explain why. Maybe I don't. Maybe showing up is explanation enough. And if nothing else, I'll always have the weirdest party story in any room I walk into. Which, honestly, might be the best gift cosplay's ever given me. I thought it was over. Not in a dramatic way, just concluded. The video had cooled down. The office jokes slowed. I'd reclaimed my costume, my voice, and my space. I even started sleeping better, like my brain had finally unclenched from the inside out. But then, out of nowhere, the universe tapped me on the shoulder again. It was a Wednesday night. I just finished reheating leftover curry, still in sweatpants, scrolling through emails I'd been avoiding. Among the junk and newsletters was one with the subject line, "We'd love to feature your story." I clicked, half expecting a scam or clickbait. But it was legit. A digital magazine mid-sized, pop culture focused, wanted to do a piece titled Accidental Legends, When Cosplay Collides with Real Life. And they wanted me in it. I read the message 3 times. It was polite. Professional. The writer said she'd seen the video and read my follow-up post. She liked the self-aware resilience, her words, not mine, and thought it would resonate with their audience. Part of me wanted to delete it. Go full ghost. But another part, the braver, tired of shrinking part, said yes. We scheduled a call. The interview was casual. The writer, Nora, had a kind voice and a real curiosity. She asked about cosplay, how I got into it, what the party was like from my perspective, and how it felt to become an internet moment without asking to be. I told her the truth, it felt weird. Uninvited. Kind of like someone broadcast your most awkward moment while you were still processing it. But also? I'd learned things. About attention. About shame. About owning your weird in a world that's allergic to sincerity. She laughed at that. Mind if I quote you? Go ahead, I said. I didn't think much more of it after that. Until the article dropped. It came out the following Tuesday. Title: The Man Who Showed Up in Costume and Stayed. My photo was there, the one I'd posted privately, now published with permission. I looked calm. Centered. A little guarded, but also proud. The article was thoughtful. Balanced. Not clickbaity. It framed the story not as a failure, but as a case study in how easily we turn people into punchlines and how rare it is when someone gets to narrate their own version. People shared it. A lot. This time, the comments were different. Why is this making me cry a little? Protect this man at all costs. This is how you own your narrative. That week, my inbox changed again. Messages from people who'd quit things they loved because of judgment. Messages from kids in rural towns who said cosplay made them feel alive. Messages from parents asking how to support their weird kids. It was overwhelming. But beautiful. One in particular stuck with me. I used to hide my art. Your story made me post again. Thank you. Then, something unexpected happened. I got a call from Jess. We hadn't talked much outside work since everything. But now her name lit up my screen, and I answered. Hey, she said, voice cautious. Weird question. Are you free this weekend? Why? My cousin is throwing a birthday party. And it's actually costume themed. For real this time. I laughed. Loudly. Too loudly. She kept talking. I know it's ironic, but I thought, maybe you'd want to come? No pressure. Just, I figured if anyone could rock it again, it's you. I hesitated. Then said, only if you swear on your cat's life it's not a trap. She laughed. Scout's honor. Also, I don't have a cat. Saturday rolled around. I debated for hours which outfit to wear. Gerald felt too on the nose. Like a rerun of a joke that had already landed. So I built something new. Simple. Clean. A mashup of two characters. A little dramatic, but softer. No swords this time. Just a quiet, thoughtful silhouette. Something that felt like a transition. I walked into the party just past 8. Music playing. Lights low. And this time, blessedly, everyone was in costume. I wasn't the only one who stood out. But I was the only one people applauded for when I walked in. Not clapped. Applauded. Jess met me at the door, eyes wide. I swear I didn't tell anyone to do that. I smiled. Maybe they just remembered. She tilted her head. Remembered what? I shrugged. That I showed up the first time. And didn't run. Later, I stood by the drinks table, sipping soda, when a guy about my age came over. Hey, he said. Sorry if this is weird, but I saw the article. The video. All of it. I braced. He continued. I stopped cosplaying after someone made fun of me at school. But seeing you, it kinda made me want to start again. I didn't say much. Just bumped my cup against his and said, "Then do it." And that was enough. The next morning felt different. I woke up not with dread, or embarrassment, or even that low-key exhaustion that had followed me since the first party, but with something gentler. Lighter. A stillness I hadn't felt in months. It was the first time in a while I didn't check my phone first thing. No doom scrolling. No hunting for comments. Just coffee, sunlight through the blinds, and the faint sound of weekend traffic below my window. It felt okay. Like things might actually be okay. Jess texted around noon. "You were kind of a hit last night, you know." I replied. "Don't tell me they're printing shirts." "No shirts. But my cousin said you made the party. She asked if you host panels or something." LOL. I didn't. But it got me thinking. That afternoon, I opened my laptop and stared at the folder on my desktop labeled Cosplay builds. It had been months since I added anything new. The last added date on most files was before the original party, the one that flipped everything upside down. I clicked through the folders, sketches, progress photos, con schedules I never followed through on. Then I made a new one. Rebuild project. Inside it, I started dumping ideas, scraps, themes, characters I always loved but never dared attempt. Not for likes. Not for performance. Just because they made something in me feel awake. That evening, I was sitting at my desk when a new email came in. Subject line, "Would you speak on a panel?" It was from a small but respected local con I'd followed for years. Apparently someone from their team had read the article, seen the video, and wanted to invite me to speak on a panel about cosplay and vulnerability. About showing up, even when it's hard. I laughed when I read it. Me? A panelist? I was the guy who walked into the wrong party. But maybe that was the point. The weeks that followed moved fast. I said yes to the panel. I started sketching again. Bought new materials. Noticed how my hands didn't shake this time when I clicked purchase. Jess and I fell into a better rhythm at work too. There was a quiet respect there now, an unspoken acknowledgement that we'd both been through something, even if hers was secondhand. One afternoon, during a team coffee break, she leaned over and said, "You know, I didn't think it would go this way." "What do you mean?" "I thought the story would bury you. But it kind of made you visible instead." I nodded. "Yeah. Weird how that works." The panel was on a Saturday morning. The con wasn't huge, a couple hundred people, a community vibe, plenty of homemade costumes and neon wigs. But the room was full. I sat alongside 3 other creators. A woman who cosplayed despite chronic illness. A non-binary designer who used character building to explore identity. A dad who built armor sets with his daughter. When it was my turn, I didn't rehearse. I just told the truth. About the party. About the silence. About the Slack thread. About the article. About how showing up as yourself, especially when you're misunderstood, can feel like the worst thing. Until it becomes the thing that connects you. People clapped. Some laughed. Some looked like they'd cry. Afterward, a line formed. People wanting to say thank you. Wanting to tell me their version. That night, I went home and opened the original video. The one from the party. The clip that started it all. I hadn't watched it since it first went viral. Hadn't dared. But now, I pressed play. There I was. Walking through the door. Pausing. Realizing. Adjusting the strap of my sword. I expected to cringe. But I didn't. I saw someone brave. Not perfect. Not confident. But there. Present. Willing to be seen. I watched it twice. Then closed the tab. The next morning, I got a package. No return address. Just a brown box. Inside, a hand-drawn card, a bag of hard candy, and a small enamel pin shaped like a sword. The card said, "For showing up when most of us would have run. We saw you. And we stayed." No signature. Just that. I pinned it to my bag. And left for the workshop. By now, the story had aged. Not in the sense that it disappeared, or was forgotten. But it had softened. The edges weren't as sharp. The wound had scabbed over, then scarred, and now it was just part of me. A weird chapter in a long book. The video still existed online. Once every couple of weeks, someone would tag me in a meme or send a message like, "Wait, you're that guy?" And I'd smile. Because yes, I was. And I wasn't ashamed anymore. It was late fall when I got the message from Amanda. We hadn't spoken in a while. After I posted my clarification back then, we exchanged a couple polite thank yous, but nothing deeper. I figured we'd both quietly moved on. But now she was back in my inbox. "Hey. Random question, are you free in 2 weeks?" I blinked. Tapped the message. Replied cautiously. "Maybe? What's up?" Her response was unexpected. "We're having a small celebration. Engagement redo. Chill this time. No suits, no pressure. And, costumes optional. Then. We'd love if you came." I sat back in my chair and laughed. Like, actually laughed. Then I stared at the screen for a long time. I told myself I didn't need to go. There was no debt to repay. No lingering guilt. No revenge arc waiting to close its loop. We were fine. The world had moved on. So had I. But the idea lingered. I talked to Jess about it the next day. "I think you should go," she said immediately. I raised an eyebrow. "Really?" "Yeah. Not for her. For you." She wasn't wrong. The day of the event, I packed my bag with 2 options, a simple cosplay nod, nothing loud, just enough for the spirit of the thing, and a plain outfit in case I chickened out. As I walked up the familiar sidewalk to Amanda's house, I hesitated. The fairy lights were still on the porch. Same bushes. Same door. But it felt different. I knocked. And when she answered, she actually smiled. "Hey," she said. "You came." "Yeah," I said. Couldn't resist. She stepped aside. Inside, the vibe was completely opposite from the original event. People were dressed comfortably. Some wore simple capes or silly hats. Someone had on a wizard robe made from what looked like a curtain. There was music. Laughter. A bit of chaos. And a lot of heart. Amanda's fiancé greeted me like an old friend. "Glad you're here," he said, handing me a cup of cider. "Also, I still think your first costume was the best entrance I've ever seen." I laughed. Glad someone appreciated it. Amanda came over. Her tone was more real this time. Less polished. More human. "I meant it," she said. "You showing up then and now, it meant something." I shrugged. Honestly, I thought about not coming. But I guess this was unfinished business. She nodded. For me too. As the evening wore on, I found myself talking with people I barely knew about art, about cosplay, about identity and performance and that weird need we all have to be seen. And for the first time, I realized I wasn't performing. I was just being. Not trying to win anyone over. Not guarding myself. Not calculating how loud or quiet to be. Just existing. In the middle of it all. Later, Amanda tapped a fork against her glass to give a small toast. She kept it short. "Thank you all for being here. For giving us a chance to celebrate in a way that feels like us. For being silly, and warm, and real." Then she added, almost offhand. "And to Evan, who taught me that the people who show up, even when it's awkward or hard, are the ones worth having around. People clapped. I blinked. That was new. When I got home, I stood in front of my mirror. Same me. Different posture. Not hiding. Not bracing. Just standing. I took a photo. Saved it. Captioned it. Some full circles arrive quietly. And for once, I didn't feel the need to check who liked it. It's strange how something that once consumed you, something that shaped your every breath, your posture, your pulse, can eventually become quiet. Not forgotten. Just integrated. That's what the party became. Not a headline. Not a viral clip. Not even a wound. Just a part of the story. My story. A few months after that final celebration, I got a message from a student group at a university about an hour away. They were hosting a panel on creativity, identity, and internet culture, and someone had forwarded them the article about me. They wanted to know if I'd come speak. About being seen, they said. About what happens when you don't expect to be. I almost said no. I wasn't trying to make a career out of this. I wasn't trying to turn a moment into a movement. But something about the way they asked, the humility, the curiosity, made me pause. And I said yes. The room was small. Maybe 30 students. No cameras. Just folding chairs, mismatched hoodies, scribbled notebooks. I sat at the front, no PowerPoint, no prep. Just me. I told them everything. Not just the party, but the lead up. The silence. The shame. The office. The soft recovery. The rediscovery of self. I told them the truth. That I didn't handle it perfectly. That I almost shut down. That I let people's opinions become a mirror, and it took time to realize I'd been looking through a funhouse version of myself. I told them the bigger lesson, the one I hadn't known I'd learned. People will misinterpret you. Always. Even with context. Even with good intentions. And your job isn't to convince them. It's just to remain you. Even when it's awkward. Even when it's lonely. Someone asked if I'd ever wear the costume again. I smiled. It's not about the costume anymore. But yeah. I might. On the way home, I stopped at a small thrift shop tucked between two cafes. I wasn't looking for anything, just browsing. But then I found it. A small, battered figurine of a knight. Not fancy. Not rare. Just a small figure, sword drawn, armor dented. Not in mid-battle, but standing. I bought it. Placed it on my desk when I got home. Next to the enamel pin. Sometimes, I still get messages about the video. Some from people who missed it the first time. Others from those who never forgot. The best ones are from people who say, I wore my costume today, even though I was scared. Or, I spoke up in class. Or, I let myself be weird. Those hit differently. Because I get it. I am it. Looking back, I don't regret walking into that house. Even though it was the wrong outfit. Even though I froze. Even though the air felt too thick to breathe. Because what I learned was that actually showing up isn't about being perfect. It's about letting the world see you, and not flinching when it does. Even if it laughs first. Even if it turns you into a clip. Even if it takes you months to recover. Because sometimes, the thing that embarrasses you, becomes the thing that frees someone else. And that's worth it. But I also found out who I was. And I think, if I'm being honest, that might have been the real costume I needed to lose. End. Thank you for reading my story. Evan.